Hi, I'm Jennifer Quick with Soul Clarity Coaching. You can check me out at soulclarity.ca. And welcome to my 2024 predictions. And this is the World Edition. So this year I have broken up my predictions video into 3 parts. I have Canadian, I have World, and I have the Uncensored. Uncensored will be available on my membership platform on my website, as all these will be available on my website. But in the Uncensored one, I am going to talk a lot more about the battle between light and dark that is unfolding on this earth. But these 2 videos, the Canadian and the World, Canadian predictions, I decided to focus on Canada because I am Canadian. So I did one specifically focused on Canada. Now this one is a little bit more on the world. And again, it's going to be from a Canadian perspective. As with all predictions, not just the videos, but any prediction, they are always taken from the perspective of the person doing the reading, and it is always predicting that which is most likely to happen based on the current projection. So take it for what it is. If it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't resonate with you, then just let it go. In the meantime, please subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends, as I am trying to get the word out more and helping people find more hope in the evolutionary times that we're going through. All right, and to find more soul clarity, because that's the path to hope. So anyhow, let's get into it. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, share it with friends, please, and take a look out. I will post down below the other 2 video, or the other video, the Canadian predictions one, as well as I will put the link to the membership. All right, please join me there, as I will be putting next year. I have a lot of focus on my membership so that I can become more uncensored. Censorship in Canada is becoming a bigger and bigger problem. Every single day, a video, almost every day, one of my videos on my YouTube channel gets tagged for review under censorship, and I challenge it, and then it usually gets released, but I always have to challenge it, and there's been a couple that have been flat out removed. So anyhow, I am working towards having that membership expand next year. I'm also looking at bringing more supports that are affordable for people, and yeah, they've got a lot of plans for the new year. So anyhow, world predictions, let's get on that game. Okay, so I'm just going to pull up my notes. I have 2 sets of notes. I have them here, I have them here. Now, just a quick thing I want to say where I get my predictions from. I watch news from all over the world, both mainstream and alternative. I have a saying and a belief that you should always look at it and listen to those who you disagree with, because you may expand yourself. You won't learn anything if you sit in a tunnel listening to yourself, so you should always be open to listening to somebody else, even when they don't agree with you. So I do look for that. I try and understand all sides. And then I also go up to Spirit and my Spirit Guide team, as well as the Akashic Records. And I work with the Akashic Records and the guides. I work with multiple different beings on multiple different dimensional aspects. I work with the Sun Court. I work with the Galactic Federation. I am very much all things cosmic, and yes, aliens. I do speak with aliens and meet with them on a regular basis. So I go back to that team and I ask for their perspectives, and they download to me what it is that I need to know. So that's how this is all done, and that's how all my work is done. So back into this World Predictions 2024. Whoops, I pulled up the wrong page. Sorry, hold on. I just got to pull it. There it is. Okay. So, world stage. And again, I'm going to start out with the same thing I did in the last one, because it is so important. There is a lot of talk out there about a pole shift. And I'm here to say that no, we are not having a complete flip of a pole shift. There's not going to be a complete flip from north to south and south to north. It is not going to be catastrophic and wipe out humanity. That's not on the table. Okay? But what is happening is our poles are shifting. It's the wobble. So Earth naturally in its rotation, in its natural rotation and its rotation around the sun, as well as within our universe and everything, our galaxy and blah, 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 how that all lines up, the magnetic pole of the Earth is always moving. Okay, we're talking about the North Pole, but we're talking about the magnetic North Pole, not the where we stuck a flag. Okay. So it's always got movement to it. But what is happening right now is we are moving through a particular area of space that has a different magnetic frequency to it. And the earth is shifting to align with that. And so the wobble, as they say, of the magnetic pole, the movement, the shifting of the magnetic pole, is at a greater degree than it normally is. And this is what's causing a lot of shifting on the earth crust that has been happening. This is why we have an increase in earthquakes and weather changes and all sorts of natural disasters and things like that. Everything you can think of that is involved with the world, with the earth crust shifting. Okay, there is, and this is something they do tell me that this is actually happening, and that is the earth actually got a sphere inside of a sphere concept in its construction. I don't fully understand this, but this is what they show me and tell me. And what has happened is that the inner sphere has actually stopped its direction and is changing direction. Okay, it's already done that change, and now the earth crust is doing that change. So it's actually shifting direction in its rotation. How this is going to affect everything, I don't fully understand how that all works, but that's what they show me, and it has to do with the area of space that we're going through and this magnetic field. But what they tell me most importantly is that although we are seeing an increase in natural disasters caused by the earth crust shifting, none of this is catastrophic on a world basis. So around the world, we will see an increase in earthquakes, in tsunamis, in hurricanes, this kind of stuff. There may be landmass changes where some land disappears into the ocean and other lands may rise up out of the ocean. More volcanic reactions. Again, no world destroyers, but certainly a lot more activity, a lot more lava flowing, right? A lot more of that we're going to see around the world. From a Canadian's perspective, Canada, well, I talk about that in the Canadian video. I'm not even going to go there with this one. This one's world basis. We are going to see it around the world. All right. But no world destroyers. And so that's what's actually happening with the Earth, is the shift. So now, this magnetic shift and everything, keep in mind that it does have an effect on the human body. Our system does work off of the magnetic field. We are part of this whole system, okay? So that wobble has definitely got a lot of great effects on us. The solar flares coming off of the sun and how we're going through this particular area in space, that all is affecting what's happening with our psyche, our thoughts, our emotions, our biology. Our biology is shifting. Everything is shifting within us. Not destroying us, but certainly shifting us. And that's what we're going through. That's the evolution. Anyhow, we'll talk about more of that somewhere else. Now, so that's the magnetic changes. That's the pole shifting. Oh, solar flares. Now, there is a greater potential this year, possibly more. I'm seeing it more towards August, maybe even September. I could be wrong on that, of course. I'm always room for me to be wrong, but that's where I get the feeling it's going to be, and that is a massive solar flare. There's two timelines that kind of come out, and I'm not sure which one's going to dominate. It's sort of like a 50-50 that could go on. One is where we're going to have an increase in solar flares like we have been having for the last few years, but again, even more so this coming year, more dramatic ones, more higher spikes in the Schumann resonance, all of that, which, as we know, affects us quite physically, all right? But to the point that it actually affects our technology, and many of us are seeing that. Our technology is highly affected by the solar flares, and we're going to see more of that. Now, we're either going to see a lot of that hitting the earth and affecting us in different areas. So you're going to have tech problems, communication problems, things like that. But the communication problems and tech problems actually work on our physical DNA as well. We glitch ourselves as well as our technology glitches. And that's all solar flare activity. And it's needed in order to raise our vibrations, our frequency, to open up our DNA, to hold higher levels of energy. And again, I have an entire program on my website that talks more about that. So, and you can look on my YouTube channel for more information on that kind of thing. Check out particularly the series I have on dimensions. It's an interesting one that explains a lot of this. Anyhow, so where was I? Solar flares. So there's a possibility of many smaller ones that cause glitches in our systems, system crashes, all those type of things. Or we have a sort of a calm before the storm that happens, and we have a major one. Now, if we have a major one, that can cause a huge amount of chaos because it will wipe out on a global basis versus a patchy break. Like multiple solar flares will affect patches. So it'll affect this area this week, it'll affect that area next time, and it'll be in splotches all over the world, right? Communications go down in Hong Kong. Communications next week or next month go down in New York, right? Like that kind of, or in South America somewhere, Brazil or whatever, right? Like it goes like that. Or if it's the big one, it'll go around the entire world, and it'll put everything into chaos. And now there's in chaos. There will break down our systems, it'll break down our economy, it'll really break the system, and it'll be a major issue. I see that as less of a potential. Okay, because the way that they tell me that, it's still in the possibility, but it's at the lowest. Most likely we're just going to see more solar flares, we're going to see more problems with our technology, more upgrades in our bodies, more spiking where we're high and feeling fantastic, and the world's going to, I can't believe how positive the world is, right down to, oh my God, the world's coming to an end, and I just feel exhausted, and I just want to crawl into bed, and I don't want to see anybody. There's going to be a lot more roller coasting again of that this coming year. Although overall, so in April, there's a massive astrology event that's happening, and it is like a new beginning. So you can look it up. I'm not a big on astrology, but I did look it up because I kept feeling the end of that April was a significant month for some sort of events, and so I wanted to look it up. And what I discovered was that on April 20th, there is, let me see if I can find it here, because I have it actually written down. Okay, so Jupiter, Uranus conjunct with Taurus on April 20th. This marks a new beginning for the year, and really for the next 20 years. It is the transition towards the future. Many could say that it is the birth moment of the new world, and just like birth, it could reveal a messy cleanup and recovery, high emotions, and excitement for the future. There it is. I'm going to leave it at that. So that's in April. There's also, I think there's an eclipse or something like that happening around April 8th that is also going to have a real big shift in us on a personal level. And so it's going to blast us. That entire month of April is all going to be about what kind of new world do you want to experience. So start putting in the vision now. Start laying the groundwork for how you want the new world to be. In the spring, after that transition, that's going to be a big spike in hope, okay? And the future and that. And what we're going to see in the spring is a lot of revealing of technology. And that's going to be a theme that's increasing greatly over the course of the next few years, obviously. But it's really going to start coming into play in the spring. I'm thinking like starting in May and really just accelerating as the year goes on. And what we're going to see is a lot of solutions to our problems that are real solutions. There's a lot of fake solutions out right now. They tell us that it's doing good, but reality is it's just covering up what they're really doing, like the eco fabric thing. Anyhow. You can look into the false sustainability and ecological industry. But a lot of true innovations are going to start coming to light, and more and more, particularly, in everything from the products that we use to our healthcare to our power system and everything. We are not set yet. 2024, unfortunately, bad news, we are not going to see free electricity. Okay? That will not be coming in 2024, but it is still on the horizon to come. So, just not next year. So we're going to see new technology and everything coming out. Come August, there's going to be, we're really going to start seeing we're really going to start being challenged with how this new technology, particularly AI and the human conflict, that is really going to start pushing us to think about how we're going to bring this new technology into our existence and how it's going to affect humans and our world and all of that. And that's really going to come into play, and be a stress point for the world. And that's going to be a stress point. Really, I see it moving forward for probably 6 months to a year as a high stress point, a very high stress point. Okay, so this is, and at the same time, the trends. I wanted to talk in this one a little bit about business trends. So I'll go to that in just a sec. Pause back to this. So new technologies and everything, that's going to increase. The summer is about August, and things are going to shift, and there's going to be an increase in tensions in the world. The world is going to see more war tactics, more political divide, more protesting, more violence in that protesting, as well as violence and manipulation in the politics, possible assassination attempts, certainly a lot of elections that are going in directions people weren't expecting, new governments coming into power all over the world. So it's really going to be a volatile, hot plate on the world stage, particularly around politics. Okay, and then of course it's going to come into a peak in the fall when we move into the US election. That is going to be another gong show beyond reason. Okay, so much is going to come out in the fall. It is going to truly, like, and what it's going to do actually is there's going to be on a world stage, you're going to have this massive warring conflict, and yes, there's going to be a lot of death in the world. There's going to be a lot of famine that's caused by the supply chain being interrupted, a lot of horrible stories of human suffering coming out, like biblical revolutions comes to mind in the horror of what parts of this world are going to see this coming year. And those of us who are not in the thick of experiencing it, please hold compassion and love for the people that are going through it, because they're going through it. Their souls are choosing to go through that for the betterment of all of mankind, as their service into this evolution. And wow, do I send so much love and compassion and hope for them to rise out of the suffering that is going to be seen. Now, majority of the world, it's the world stage is going to look pretty rough, but your personal life, for majority of us, especially those people that are listening to this video, are going to be in a pretty sweet spot. And it's going to be, our personal lives are actually going to be not bad. Health issues are going to come to rise. And a lot of reliant on each other for our health, there's going to be a push towards relying on each other, building small communities, collectives coming together, supporting local. All right, there's going to be a real move towards that all over the world. And there's going to be people coming together at grassroots level to produce new way of doing things. And part of this is going to be spawned at the breakdown of our infrastructure. Right? Because when you have so much warring going on, whether it be full-on bombs to the political rantings, right? All of it, and protesting and stuff like that, it really puts into perspective how important your neighbor is, and where you live is, and who you communicate with. And people are really craving that. So moving into business, a lot of people that follow me do have their own business, and there's going to be a great rise in self-employment in 2024, as there's also going to be a huge rise in bankruptcy, financial devastation. That's going to be felt on a very large scale. And there's also going to be a lot of new businesses arising, innovations, new ways of doing things, and a lot of trade is going to happen as well. And that's where people are going to move towards more service oriented. As much as businesses are going to dive into exploring AI and integrating robotics and artificial intelligence into their businesses, their clients are actually going to be, their customers are going to be requiring more personal service. So if you are a business person and you're looking at the automation options that are out there to make your plate a little lighter, have it in that perspective that everything you do in regards to technology is freeing your time so that you can have more one-on-one personal relationships, because that's what your customers really want, is the personal service, the coming together of community. Okay, they are also not going to be wanting as much big ticket items, and they're going to be wanting more memberships and community oriented things, support as they go through this transition. That's what they're going to be looking for more. And more of choice of options. Okay, so I don't necessarily need to be part of a financial boot camp that's going to cost me $10,000 for a year or two's membership. I am actually more interested in having a like-minded community I can be a part of for like 50 or $100 a month, you know, $1,200 a year type of thing, or $100 wherever you're at, and be part of a community, and then have components that I can upgrade to when I want to buy that piece of information. So more a la carte kind of servicing. So that's my advice to the future. Experiences are far more experienced. So in general, especially in the travel industry, but in general, people are wanting more experience. They want more humanitarian. They want assurance in their humanitarians. People are really, all these donation sites and their donation places, they're coming into question a lot in the next year or two, and there's going to be a lot of exposure around them, and more so in 2025 even, on how many of them are corrupt, how many times you donate to something that you think is going to help third world country or promote or cancer research or whatever it is, and you find out it's actually going to some CEO's big fat paycheck, or bureaucracy. Okay, bureaucracy is really going to get noticed and charged at this coming year, and particularly in 2025 as well. But so people are wanting to be assured that their donations are actually going to the cause that they're expecting it to. And I recommend people start looking at organizations that they can verify. Like, I myself do not donate to things that I can't verify where that money is going for. So I donate to Critter Care. It is a local organization that rescues wilderness animals and rehabilitates them back into the wild. They're working on preserving nature. I work the local women's shelter. I donate there. The food bank, I don't donate money to the food bank. I actually go and buy food and deliver it to the food bank. And I do look at what they actually need. I also will go down to a local school, and I will donate directly to the local school, and I get tax receipts whenever I can. But I know that the money I'm putting in is not going to some bureaucracy or some CEO paycheck. It's actually going to the children, the animals, the facility, the homeless, whatever it is. So I encourage that. So that's the humanitarian side. History is good, and geography and all that is going to be a huge, huge, huge thing. The appreciation of the diversity of our world, as well as the history of our world, is really, people want to understand our history. That's going to be a big part of the future, as well as relationships. Learning how to communicate with each other. Our relationships all need an upgrading, and I actually have some courses coming out on that, and I do talk about that quite a bit, because relationships need upgrading, just like every other part of our bodies. We have been in a world based on survival, and we each had our roles, and those roles made sense for the world that we were living in. The world we live in today and the world that's emerging, those same rules around our relationships don't work anymore. And so we need to really upgrade our relationships. So people are looking for understanding their relationship with themselves, with their family, with their friends, with their spouses, soulmates, that kind of thing. They're really wanting relationship experience. Okay, so those are some of the highlights. And people are turning their focus more towards value versus materialism. Right? Materialism is really starting to go by the wayside. And one of the things, I don't know if this is really where it's going to go, or is this just my hope, because it's something that really gets into me and is a bug to me. And that is people with money buying trash products. If you have money that you can buy a high-end I don't think Gucci's the highest brand name, whatever, brand name shirt, shoes, purse, accessory, car, whatever it is. If you have that, stop buying it because of the name. Start looking at what it actually is. If you bought a leather purse, does it come from a company that supports wildlife, that is creating, that gets that leather from grass-fed, free roaming animals? Like, where does that leather come from? Where does that fabric in your clothing come from? Do you know that most of the fabrics that are on the market are made of dead material? They resonate at the same frequency as a dead person. Okay, you know, sustainable fabrics and dyes that are used in that fabric. Start putting your I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if this is a pressure that our society is going to start putting on our purchases, or if it's just my hope that they do. But we need to start looking at where we're spending our money, and to stop spending it on our vanity and start spending it on the value of human life and our earth. Okay, so that's, I don't know, a prediction or lecture, but there it is. I'm hoping there's a shift there. What else is there? Border issues. Border issues are going to be really big all around the world, not just Canada and the US, but all borders. Because there's been so much going on with that. And this multiculturalism has not been a supported multiculturalism. It's been a floodgate. And the problems of that are going to rise out. And borders are going to be an issue worldwide in every country. So a lot of conflicts around borders. Just going through my notes. And there's going to be an emergence of this is only going to be the start of this viewpoint, and I'm hoping that it catches on and goes stronger. That's how I see it in the future. But this coming to realize that we are one big family, and it's to stop seeing us as, start valuing our differences and our uniqueness, and how they contribute to all of us as a whole, how we're all interconnected, and seeing ourselves as one species versus a whole bunch of different races. Okay. Oh, and so that's going to be a big part of it. Acceptance of everybody's uniqueness and differences, as well as embracing them across the board, not at devaluing one and rising of another. It's no. What else is there? Okay, so now what's coming up to me is that I really want to talk about a potential alien invasion. If that's going to happen, it's going to be in probably August or September. I'm thinking more September, and it's going to be false. It is a false alien invasion. There's a lot of talk of this, and the highest potential of it happening, I do believe, is this coming year. And actually kind of increase, well, depends on how it goes. But this year is a high potential for it, particularly in early fall, late summer, and it will be false, and it will be violent, and many people will be harmed. It is not a good thing, and it is a false thing. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. True disclosure is actually happening through the individuals. So people are becoming, in the overall mass consciousness, people believe in alien species. And there is going to be more people channeling, more people having experiences, more people seeing them, more reports of, like we had in Las Vegas this summer, where there was an actual alien scene. And that made lots of publicity by a large group of people. A lot more of that. That is how disclosure happens. And 2024 is going to see a lot of that. Okay. A lot of increased activity with that. What else is going to go? I think I talked about robots and AI and how we're going to be pressured to really figure out how that's going to work and the struggles with it. Possible cyber attack. That is another thing. And again, that one could hit as early as June. I do see it more into the fall, but could be as early as June. But a cyber attack. And it may actually get confused with the solar flare issues. But I do see cyber attack happening, a high potential of that. And again, it's going to have a negative effect, obviously, because it breaks everything down. But the end result is not going to be into the negativity, which I will talk about in my uncensored video, of how the energies are playing that way. But it's not going to have the devastating breakdown on humans as people think. It's actually going to push us in a positive way to be more interconnected and less reliant on these technology basis. So anyhow, that cyber attack is a high potential this coming year. War, famine. And now I wanted to just point out, people, keep in mind that whenever you hear about these wars that are going on around the world, what we're hearing in the media and what is being released, you can't trust the information. It's a lot of manipulation, using drama to manipulate. There's a lot of, you'll see a ton of images, and not all those images are from the actual event that they're reporting on. A lot of those images are being released from previous ones and history and all sorts of different stuff. Like, there's a lot of false information coming out from these wars. And the true reasons for the war always go back to money and power. And it's that trying to grasp and hold on to money and power. So you got to look at what really is happening behind the scenes, and you can boil it back to money and power. The whole racism and religious division and those kind of, what else is there? Political division, all those things that are dividing people and causing them to conflict with each other are all manipulations to cause separation so that we don't unite as people, as one humanity. Okay? So don't buy into them. Look past that, right? The more people war to each other, the more conflict amongst the masses, the less notice is on the elite power and what there is really going on. So as you see these things happen around the world, take a step back. And I'll talk more about that in the Uncensored. I think I have covered healthcare. We're going to see more breakdown in healthcare. At the same time, we're going to see more innovations coming out. There is also going to be an emergence of trying to, there's going to be trying to suppress alternative and new medication, new healthcare aspects. There's going to be more, particularly over the winter, they're going to be more trying to suppress that, more reliance on the system and the big D groups, right? The big, I don't want to say it because it's always censors me when I say it. But anyhow, you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. But there's going to be, they want us in that direction. They don't want us to be eating healthy and living healthy lifestyles. And they want us reliant on this other side. And that is going to come under scrutiny a lot more. And they're going to try and suppress our alternative sides and push the controlled avenues. So there's going to be more pressure in that area. There's going to be our education and the whole, and again, I got to be careful. I will talk about this more in my censored video, but I'm just going to say the whole education aspects that are going on with our children and what's going on in that area. That is going to become much, much more volatile. A lot more kickback in there, a lot more division in there, and a lot more extreme crazy. It drives me nuts because most people have an agreement down the middle road, but the polarities are just duking it out. And they're pulling people into their polarity. Stay out of the polarity and really think with clarity. Okay? And I will do more videos on this in that membership site because I get censored on it. But that's really going to be in the headlines. Our education and everything that goes with our education. And there's going to be a lot of alternative education options coming out too. Groups, parents coming together, groups coming together and doing private homeschooling type tech stuff all over the world. And new schools getting highlighted. And I'm going to try and do a video on this sometime soon. Next year, I guess. I got a list of things. I want to shine some light on some really magnificent alternative schools that are in the world. Because we have some great models out there. Again, more pressure on the economy as things break down and become more local in that. The housing crisis is going to be huge. Homelessness, drug abuse, pharmaceutical abuse, all of that is really going to peak. And a demand for answers is going to, a demand for change. It's going to be a talking point. And same with the narrative around climate change. It's going to be a real talking point. And again, hopefully I don't get censored on that. But there's a lot of misleading information out there. And it's amazing how much we have been indoctrinated over the decades and generations here to believe something that's not true, or a narrative that serves a power. Okay, I'll talk more openly before, but I think some of you will know what I'm referring to. Oh, and that's the other, I don't know if I mentioned it in this one or in the previous one, but the whole thing around Hollywood, a lot more exposure of the irresponsible, corrupt behavior of those in power and money in the upper, not the elite, but those who are connected with the elite and serving to the elite, to the higher powers. Those, a lot more revealing in those areas, and a lot more people breaking away from it. So, which is a really good thing, and a lot more grassroots kind of artists, musicians, things like that. And I'll just say, watch Canada, because we are full of grassroots music. Amazing music comes out of Canada. Amazing comedians. Some of the best comedians in the world have always come from Canada. We have a great sense of humor. And artists, we have wonderful artists, and they are inspired by some of the most beautiful areas in the world, are all inspired here in Canada. So we have an incredible amount of talent. So this is supposed to be my world prediction video, and I'll say with the world, take a look, because Canadian, that grassroots side of us, not just in Canada but worldwide, is going to start coming up, especially in the first world countries, obviously. Okay. So again, there's going to feel, the overall feel for 2024 is like there is a two-tiered system or two-timeline system. One that is a lot of conflict, a lot of warring, a lot of violence, a lot of horror, a lot of death, a lot of, unbelievable information and horror, really. And then there's going to be this other timeline that is starting to emerge, which is full of hope, innovation, new technologies, grassroots communities, a lot of grassroots movements, a lot of person-to-person events, a lot of coming together of humanity. It's going to have a real mirror flip here that we're going to be seeing. It's like two completely separate worlds layered over top of each other. So stay in your own lane and be grateful for where you serve. I'm going to wrap this one up. I hope... I don't know what to say. I hope you got some hope out of this, and I hope you share this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out more of my work on my YouTube channel. And please come and join my membership. There's not much there right now, but I sure am going to be unloading a lot in there moving forward in 2024. Sorry. That is my cue to end this video. Love you all. Thank you so much for watching to the end. And I appreciate all of you. And I look forward to the new world that's emerging. Mwah. Love you all. And I'm grateful for you.